Hi, everyone. Welcome to our Zoom this month. Everybody is usually here, so we all know how the process goes. We spend an hour talking about anything you want. It can be personal questions, and it can also be something that you want to learn or any questions that you have about spirituality. We can focus on anything that I put in the monthly membership, any of the videos that I offer, the concepts that I put out this month. So I am going to just welcome you. Thanks for being here today. And I'm going to turn it over to you guys. So anybody that would like to begin today, we can do that. So I'll be quiet.
I did have a question, Nikki, but if somebody else wanted to go first, that's fine too. I can wait.
No, go for it.
So I was reading the idea of the hurry up and wait and listen to the idea of this time of year, the season. And my question, I work with teenagers in a high school. I'm a social worker. And this time of year, kids really struggle. Like mental health is really bad. There's a lot of kids hospitalized, a lot of kids struggling. And I wondered if some of this idea of the hurry up and wait might apply to them, or like, I'm just not sure how to help the kids at this time. It seems really a dark time for them. I don't know if it's a full moon, if it's the season. It just seems, I like the idea of maybe it's something out of their control that you kind of talked about, that maybe that's what kids struggle with this time of year. And I just wondered if you had any insights.
Let me try to ask my spirit. I have a couple things I can say, but hold on one second and let me kind of take that question in to see how to direct it for them. So when I ask my spirit and spirit in general about what our teenagers are going through, and if some of what they're experiencing is the hurry up and wait, and the way that spirit responds to me today is that it's not so much a hurry up and wait, because at least for us adults, the hurry up is something that we have control over, and it's something that we've kind of constructed in our own lives. Their hurry up and wait is connected to what other people say. So they have no control over when they should hurry up and when they shouldn't hurry up. So hurry up and get on Zoom, hurry up and stay out of school, hurry up and come back to school, hurry up and do what us adults think you should hurry up to do. So when I consult with spirit, like when I go into myself about that, really the thing that spirit responds with is the best way to help them is to give them some area of their life where they do have a sense of control, because they don't right now. And that's the thing that's slowing them down, which is a little bit different from the adult perspective, but from the teenage perspective, they are in a phase of their life, in that adolescent phase, where they're trying to balance themselves out a little bit. And they're used to listening to what everybody else says, and that is causing them, actually a lot. So let's say that I'm a teacher and I have students, then I'm going to say, you guys are going to get a lot of homework this week. What day do you want it on? Do you want to know now? Or would you like to know on Tuesday? It's really due on Friday. So it's almost just like finding different areas in their life where they get to decide what the next course of action is for them. And that will actually reroute them back to themselves, and that they have no autonomy, I guess. Oops,
that makes so much sense, Nikki, and I really appreciate that feedback. It really makes sense for what's going on in the world with them. So thank you for that. I appreciate it.
You're welcome. The other thing that spirit responds to is our kids have been sitting down for a year and a half. And so it'd be a really good idea if they got into class and everybody had to jump up and down 15 times to get their energy, their body energy relaxed. A lot of them are having a problem being in school because there's like their body energy is on overdrive. So they're not going to be able to sit down and pay attention. unless in their mind, unless their body is actually doing something. So I would run a test. Like if I was a teacher, I would run a test. I'd make half of my classes jump up and down and run around the classroom for like 5 minutes and have them sit down and see how they do. And then I wouldn't do that with some of the classrooms to see if there's something that they pay attention to more, because I'm also understanding that what we just spoke about and giving them autonomy or some sense of control in some areas of their life, that's a connection to their heart energy, to their emotional energy. And that's why we do that, is for the emotional aspect. But if you want their brain to work, they need to activate their body, and they've been sitting on their ass for a couple years with the pandemic. Like their extracurricular stuff is all done, so they have like old energy that has to be expressed, and that'll actually help their mind focus on it. So if we can use their body and do it this way and give them a sense of control, and what we're doing is we're kind of taking everything and putting it at their root earth energy, that should help them get aligned with themselves. And that's not even a bad idea for all of us to also do. Get our bodies moving, jump up and down a few times before you sit at the computer. Like have, that's good information for us too, that we can incorporate that in our everyday, but it's actually almost necessary for them in a way. Okay. Okay, great. Anybody else for any other questions for today?
Well, if nobody
Really,
wants to
nobody
go,
has?
you know that
Yeah,
I
go
will
ahead,
always go.
Sue. Yep,
So,
I always can count on you for
oh
our
my God.
topics.
And I'm going to try not to monopolize here, but I was really thinking about the last session that we had. I don't know if everyone here was in it, but you were talking about the different phases of life that we have, the 7-year spans,
Yes.
so you get the spiritual, the human, and the balance, which was a really fun thing, but it was kind of eye-opening for me. And I was kind of like, well, holy mo's, this is what I've been dealing with myself and all my recent problems. And I've been saying things like, well, I don't understand why I feel this way because I've never been like that and blah, 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 blah. And I actually typed up a bunch of stuff to try and really, because the math was really troubling me with the sevens and everything, to figure out where I was with it. And I found a recurring theme in my life that maybe I haven't had issues with balance over. And then and then with the hurry up and wait, I'm like, oh yeah, well, yeah, I've been waiting and it's torture. So some of the balance issues that I haven't dealt with, my recurring themes, well, last year my husband was sick, and so all my rehab was on hold, and then he got better, and then it's like, well, when are you going to finish your shed? When are you going to do this? When are you going to do that? I'm like, okay, so I'm back in rehab mode, and I get it all done, and then it comes crashing, booming to a royal halt at the end of October because I needed a permit. I didn't get a permit. The neighbor was not happy about the noise, and here I've been waiting, and I've been going through this stupid little process, and I've been waiting. And that was November, December, January, February. So I'm like well into the 4th month, and it's torture, and I can't take it anymore. But anyhow, so my question then revolving around this, which
I love you, Sue.
I'm kind of like, God, I was trying to recap it so fast, so not to monopolize, and the question kind of escaped me. But anyway, so I'm dealing with my next door neighbor here, and now I'm telling him, okay, are you going to oppose my variance? Or are you going to not oppose it and let's move on? Or are you going to oppose it and now I've got to tear down my deck and rebuild it and do all this kind of stuff? And he's like, well, I need some time to think about it. So now I'm there, you're waiting again. It's like I can't get away from it. It's torture.
Yeah, the waiting thing you really can't get away from, because you are going to hurry up and rush to do the things that you need to get accomplished, but then it's the wait time that's the torture. It's not the hurry up time, because you have motivation and you can get things going. So you have to make literally a conscious plan on what are you going to do during your wait time? Like, are you going to stress about this? Are you going to put it out and just let the universe catch up with you? Do you have another plan that you're going to be working on? You have to be able to refocus yourself on the next thing or the fallback plan in case it doesn't work the way you want it to end up?
Yeah, I'm struggling with that, trying to focus on that, what to do with. I keep going back to it and just, I keep obsessing about it. And, you know, I'm driving myself crazy. I've been obsessing about this whole thing, and I keep thinking, okay, don't put that energy out there, you know? And then I think, okay, fake it till you make it. Thank you, universe, for, you know, granting me my variance, and, you know, just trying to throw it out there. But I tend to be in like a royally hot mess about it. And I'm aware of what I'm doing, but it's just not so easy to change that. It's not so easy to, anyway.
So
Yeah.
so when as you're talking about all of that, when you try to do your refocus, and this is something that I have found also in my life, that when I'm in that wait period and I try not to obsess about it, if it's too difficult to not obsess about it, you still need a different plan. You still need a refocus, but it's too hard to avoid something that keeps coming into your brain. So it means that whatever part of that scenario that you're obsessing on, you need a plan for that part. Right? You even if it's not the whole nuts and bolts, but there's that one thing that out of that whole situation, there's that one thing that keeps gnawing at you and gnawing at you. You can't push it out if it's gnawing at you. So you need to address it by either coming up with an alternative to that plan or spending some time each day thinking about it, and like give yourself the 15 minutes to sit down and obsess about it and think about it, and just try to structure your obsession to a certain amount of time, like literally fit it into your day so that you can at least appease your subconscious mind, because the worry that you're having and the obsession you're having doesn't come from your soul. It doesn't come from your spirit, because your spirit is all divine timing. There is no time. For your spirit, that whole situation is already complete. Your soul already knows that outcome, which means that when we're in that obsessive pattern, that obsessive pattern comes from our conditionings on earth. It comes from what we feel we have control over and what we don't, right? So when you're thinking about how do I get through this part of it, you really do have to give yourself the time to focus on it, think about it, come up with a plan for it, and then distract yourself from it and try to get involved in something else, because you almost have to like talk yourself out of it. So I have one topic that I always obsess on that can drive me crazy if I let it take over my brain. So when that obsession thought comes into my brain, I open the door to it. So that means I'm recognizing that it's there. So I open the door to it in my brain. I look at it. I have a conversation with it. And then I say, okay, thanks for visiting. And then I shut the door visually in my own mind, in my own fake visualization. And then I shut the door on it and I watch it walk away. And then after you do this 3 or 4 times, you're going to notice that it starts to walk away without you having to close the door. It's like that energy, once you shut the door on it, it actually does kind of push itself back. So it takes focus and it takes visualization initially. So here's the steps. You want to give yourself the 15 minutes to obsess about it, see if you can come up with any new information. If you can't come up with any new information, that's when you open the door on it, take a look at it, ask it if it has anything new to say to you, and then say, okay, thanks for the information, and shut the door and let it go off. And literally visualize that happening, and then immediately turn your attention to something else. Every time it pops back into your head, because it's energy that's created within your human experience. So it's your subconscious energy. We talk a lot about the spiritual energy and hearing our spirit and honoring ourselves and listening to ourselves, but we don't spend a lot of time talking about the subconscious mind. And the subconscious mind is kind of annoying, because that's the part of you that actually tries to distract your focus from your spirit, so that you can't You can't live in that space of spirit. You're living in the space of subconscious. So when you divide yourself into two things, you are a spirit conscious, you are a subconscious or human conscious, and then you are alive. You are life. So that is your working brain. So your working brain receives input from a lot of places. One place is the spirit information, another place is the subconscious information. So what you're struggling with is actually the subconscious information. And that subconscious information starts to take more of a dominant control. And that's when you start getting in that rabbit hole in your head. And what if this happens? And what if that doesn't happen? Then what if this doesn't happen? Then what if I don't get the permit? And then what if I can't get the fence? And then what happens then? And so that's your subconscious mind trying to distract you away from faith, from peacefulness, right? So if you're the one processing, subconscious and conscious, doesn't it appear that in that obsession you have a choice?
Well, I suppose it's mostly the waiting for someone else to let me know his opinion. It's waiting for somebody else. I'm just waiting. I mean, I've already kind of have a plan. I'm moving forward. I've requested a variance. I've done all the steps. I really don't want to spend any more money on it until I hear from him. But I mean, I can order the sign, pay for that. I'm already paying for the ad. He still hasn't replied. I'm just waiting. And he won't tell me. So it's like, okay, I've been waiting all this time and I don't get
well,
any.
your spirit personally about this situation, she takes what you know in your mind, brings it all the way through your chakra system, brings it into your sacral chakra, and then has you moving forward with your plan. I am understanding it doesn't matter what he agrees to or he doesn't agree to. The neighbor isn't the deciding factor, actually. So
well,
for
he's a
some
huge
reason,
influence, though.
I know, but however, I still see you moving forward. So I think you have to move forward with your plan and not worry about the neighbor.
Just not worry. Okay.
Yeah, your spirit says you're already in a relationship with this, so you're going to keep fighting till you get it your way anyway. So you're going to readjust this until you get what you want. So I don't think you're not going to get what you want. It's just not coming fast enough, but you can move forward.
Okay. So it's not that you think I'm not going to get what I want. It's just the waiting it's not fast enough for me. That's what you said? Okay.
Yes, because your subconscious mind is running away with you. That's what's causing your angst. So, it has nothing to do with his decision. His decision is irrelevant. What's driving you crazy is your own obsession.
I know. And this has never been like me.
That has nothing to do with him.
This has never been like me my whole life. And I keep thinking, is this a spiritual phase I'm going through? Is this a repeated pattern? You know,
I don't think it's either. I think it's an announcement of the two sides of your brain. Since I've known you, you've been spending time getting to know your spirit, listening to your inner voice, trying to connect with spirit. So you're getting very used to the process of doing that. And when we start to really master that process and really get into that routine of having that inner voice flow of communication, our humanity doesn't want that, right? So our subconscious is going to sometimes go into overdrive in order to knock us away from what that inner voice is telling us. And your inner voice is saying, it's fine. And your human voice is saying, no, it's not. Are you sure it is? Because what if he changes his mind? Because what if? You're supposed to stop that. That is all your conversation with yourself. It doesn't have anything to do with him. That's the challenge. The challenge isn't really that. Oh, yeah. Okay, Jackie, what were you saying?
Sorry, I don't know what I'm doing here. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Yes.
I was going to say that what you just said really spoke to me. I didn't even realize what I wanted to say or ask, but like it just made sense to me that where I've been balancing really has been between my subconscious and my spirit, and my obsession is always my subconscious. It's always these things I'm worrying about. And when Nikki said, don't you have a choice? Like for me, I do have a choice. And usually I make the choice that I'll go spirit, like specifically for me, God, that's just my belief. but I'm realizing that I have been making a choice. There's been a change in the balance where I'm going more towards the worrying, but it's my subconscious and not my spirit. So I know that might not relate
Right.
to you, but like, I just felt like that kind of spoke to me. Like I
Oh
understood
no,
that.
it's absolutely that is the struggle of that wait. The waiting part of that hurry up and wait, it is the subconscious mind. And then the battle is in our human consciousness, and we're having an argument between the spirit input and the subconscious input. But the subconscious input that makes you obsess, you're seeing both sides. Like if you were really an obsessive person, you wouldn't know you're obsessing.
Ooh, that's helpful. Thank you.
Okay, think about that. Crazy people, they don't ask if they're crazy. They don't know they're crazy. So they're never going to say to you, do you think I'm crazy? Right? A crazy person isn't going to say that. Likewise, an obsessive person, if you're recognizing that you are having an obsessive thought process, what
an
part of
empathy.
you is recognizing the thought process, not the one that's having the thought process? So you're actually witnessing yourself being obsessed. Well, who's witnessing you being obsessed? That must mean you're not obsessed. That you, who you are, your true person, is not obsessive, because that's the one that's observing some obsessiveness. That's in contradiction with some other part of yourself that you're observing, right? So if you have an awareness that something is happening in your brain, what part of you has the awareness that something's happening in your brain? The part of you that gets to choose whether or not you want to get on that bandwagon or make a different choice not to get on that bandwagon. And
Yeah, it
so
just
in
comes
the
down to
video,
me.
go ahead, Jackie, please.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
No,
I
please.
just, for me, it really is, you know what? I like my spirit better than I like my subconscious. So it's just personal like that. I just like this one better. So I'm going to try to go with that one.
I agree with you 100%. And and that is the thing to do. So when I get obsessive, I will ask my spirit, what do you want me to do? Because I'm freaking out over this. Usually my grandma pops in and she's like, clean your house. And then I spend like 12 hours cleaning my entire house. So that's my distraction. My brain goes there. My mental self goes there because I got to think about everything I got to clean, what I'm going to clean next, how I'm going to organize, how I want to move the furniture. And then my physical body has to participate. So now my physical self is participating because I'm distracted. I've made a new plan. Instead of my obsession, I'm going to clean my house, clean out closets and drawers. So that's my physical self. And my mind has to pay attention to that. Now, that mental and physical response to my obsession actually takes the obsession out of my brain because something else is in my brain and my body is engaging with it. So guess who feels better? I feel better. Now my emotions feel better. Now I'm not worried. Now I'm calmed down, right? So that's why I know that when people say it's a choice how we choose to respond to something, but when we have an observance in our mind, the thing that we're observing about ourselves is obviously not who we are. Otherwise, we wouldn't be able to observe it. Because to observe something means you're outside of the thing that you're observing. You have to watch it aside from yourself. So if you're watching something that's happening to you, that's the true person, the one that's witnessing it. See?
So I'm going to clean my house now.
Yeah, that would be great because that will help you. Or do a project or paint or, anything like that. So hopefully that answers your question, but it answers the growth and the recognition that you're having between the spirit and body friendship and that relationship. That's what this experience means to your soul. So there is growth in there. And thank you to this experience of a shitty neighbor to awaken this clarity of yourself to you. And so maybe this whole process is because things in our life and situations that happen to us, we always think and feel like it's done against us. But when we can find the reason that it's done for us and not against us, we found the true reason. Because no matter what shitty things somebody does to you, you have to remember that God has his hand in it. Like he has his hand in it. So whatever you think is being done to you, God is in the process of flipping it around. So find out what the flip around is. And that's how we can get through some of these more difficult experiences. So when we begin the conversation, Sue, your neighbor a jerk and what an idiot and why won't he do all this stuff? And when we come to the end of that, we say, well, it's kind of good that that happens because now you've divided yourself into three things: a spirit thing, a human thing, and a thing that understands both sides and witnesses both sides, which means that in that concept, we're talking about the Holy Trinity. We have a God self, we have a Jesus self, and we have a self that heals. And so all three parts of us are involved in that. So we all know the Jesus self. That's a lot. That's human. That's our subconscious. That's where our human thoughts come from. We know the spirit self because we've been working on listening to that inner conversation that we have. So now that we're seeing that we as human beings, we've accepted that we have an eternal self. You know, for a lot of our lives, we don't accept our eternal self. We don't know we have a spirit. We don't know our spirit's talking to us. We think we just have thoughts. We think it's all one being experiencing life. And then something happens in our life and we recognize that we have a spirit self. We have an inner voice. Oh my God. Now we start listening to it. So now that divides that one thing into two. And now that we've been kind of becoming friends with ourselves, that union of friendship between the body and the soul is what allows you to dive into the truth of who you are, which is neither the body nor the spirit, but the thing that sees all of it. So your third person that observes your communication is my third person. We have the same third person because we're all part of God. And there's a piece of God that comes with each one of us. And that is our spirit. That is our eternal self. And that eternal self is born into this body. It's the life that populates this human body. So for a big period of our life, we're dominantly human. And then we realize something about our soul. And then we allow that in. And now we have two selves. And when those two things start to become pretty good friends, then we start to observe that friendship. That's our Holy Spirit self. So our Holy Spirit self is only one self, for me, for you, for them, for everyone. So like consider if you are a spiritual person and you're going to do a reading for somebody. Where do you do a reading from? Neither the spirit nor the body, but the one that joins us all. So when I read you, I can only read you from where you and I are one thing. And that's the part that's waking up in you, the part that connects you to everything. Because in one side or the other, we judge your neighbor. But when we reach the side that observes all sides, we no longer judge your neighbor, because if you don't have that experience, how is this part of you going to be woken up? Right? So I can stop there. Is that too big of a thing to talk about? But that's what's actually happening to us in our minds.
It hits home.
Okay. Any questions with anybody on that topic or on that idea? If you want to bring it in, do you want an example more connected to us?
Sure.
Okay. So imagine that you have a huge fight with like your best friend. Okay. And you're both really in the thick of this fight. So you're yelling stuff and they're yelling stuff and you're totally involved in this argument, right? Then As soon as the argument's over, you call your other best friend and you start telling them all about the argument. So you have a certain way of telling the story, like it's happening now. You know what this lady said to me? Let me tell you. And then the emotions come and everything happens. Okay. That's how you're feeling that day with the argument. Okay. Everybody think of that. This is happening right now. I'm in this argument and I don't like her. She's this and that, and we don't get along and it's done or whatever. Okay. Fast forward 5 years from that argument. Okay. 5 years from that argument, I'm going to ask you about that argument. And you're going to be like, oh, yeah, that was a really bad fight. I mean, she said some really bad things. I said some really bad things. But, when I look back on that, she was in the process of a divorce at the time. So she was going through a lot of shit. My dog died that week and I was like in a bad mood and, I had lost my job recently. And so things were just really difficult for me. So we had a really bad fight, but, now I understand what she was going through and I understand what I was going through. And we kind of let that get the better of us. So that means that within a period of 5 years, your opinion of that argument is different now. It's changed. Why has it changed? What is different? When you're having that argument, you are a participant in the argument, meaning you're human. You're in it, you're arguing, you're saying stuff's coming to your brain. You're trying to figure out how to put them in their place. They're trying to figure out how to put you in your place. So you are engaged and participating fully in a human perspective. And then later on, maybe only a few days later, you start thinking about that argument and you start feeling bad inside of yourself. You're like, oh man, I didn't want to tell her that. I shouldn't have said that. I don't really mean that. I don't know why I said that. And you start reviewing that argument internally and you start feeling bad about the things you said or did while you were dominantly human. Right? So now your spirit reviews it and she's like, oh, I kind of feel bad. Right? And then 5 years later, you see her side and your side and you can explain the whole thing as a third party. So first you're in it because you're human and you're fighting. And then the fight breaks apart. Everybody goes their own way. And now you feel bad later on after you eat something, after you take a walk, and you kind of calm down. Now it's in you, but now you feel guilt or you feel bad or you feel remorse about what you said. Now you're engaging with your inner self. Now you're engaging with your spirit self. So now you have lived one argument 2 times, once as a participant and as a human participant and once as a spirit participant, because now your soul has to rectify what you just said and did. And then 5 years later, you are neither feeling that argument, nor are you participating in that argument. So now you have become an observer to that argument. You see? Does that all make sense? See how that can happen? That's exactly what's happening with your consciousness. At first, you're dominantly human and participating. Then you include your spirit and you're like, oh, I'm going to feel something. Okay, I'll listen to that. And now that that's happening, now you can go one step above and observe both sides. And that's what happened in the argument. Does that make sense? See how that kind of matches?
Okay. Yeah, the observer is way better, I think.
The observer is always better because that's our true self. And that's the self that's the part that we're always looking to get to in every single thing that we do.
Right.
And every single thing that we do, we're looking for that one part that is everything. So that is the best part. But that's what we do when we go to heaven. That's the part of us that goes to heaven. Your observer goes to heaven. And if the things you observe are joyful on both sides, you get to take whatever you like that's joyful. So Casey has a question. Hopefully that answered your question. Casey, what is your question? I can't see the chat.
Okay. She said, do some souls choose to come here on earth to just be a human and choose just to be and not evolve and grow into their soul, or does everyone choose to evolve?
Did everybody hear Marissa or no?
No.
Okay, Marissa, could you go on and repeat Casey's question? Or Casey, you can just ask your question. If you could go off mute and ask your question.
Yeah, I could. I just have the girls in the background, and hold on one
That's
second.
okay.
Don't want them. Okay. So yeah, my question was, do some souls come here and choose to, like, they don't, I know they have like a soul purpose or a soul job, but do they choose to just live as like a human in the human experience and choose not to grow on certain things, like choose prior?
Yeah,
Am I
there
making
are,
sense?
but
Okay.
absolutely. Well, what you're saying is, why are some people like they don't progress in their spirit body relationship and they're more always dominantly
Yes.
human? So it can sometimes appear a little narcissistic or controlling, and they just kind of don't evolve in their mind. So I don't want to portray that as a negative thing. But there are souls that sometimes they're in this life as that lower vibration or more human and earthly vibration, because without them, how would you ever grow? Right? So we need those earth root people to help us kind of challenge ourselves and help us to get right with ourselves. So a lot of times there is a benefit to those people in our life that seem to be stuck in a human place where they can't get past that. So sometimes they are like that because it's for your benefit. Sometimes actually people are like that because they have come, maybe they're a newer soul. And so in this lifetime, they just got to figure out how to like be in a body, right? So they have to learn how to eat. And most root energies are like eat, sleep, play, sex, work.
Mm.
They're physically oriented. They need to make sure they have money. They need to make sure they have a job. They need to make sure that the earthly things are taken care of. They're here to figure out how to be a human being. So their purpose in this lifetime might not be to evolve. Maybe they're just here to learn about humanity. Maybe the next lifetime they're going to learn about some other aspect. So if we think about it, when I have done like past life and Akashic record readings for people, one of the things I've noticed is that their lifetimes connect to particular chakras. So your third lifetime could be a human experience. So you would come into life and your third lifetime as a root energy in your first chakra, which means life is going to be difficult. You better figure out, you better get a job, you better know how to pay your bills, you better do that. That's going to be your challenge here, right? And so some people, depending on whatever is in their soul project, they may need to understand that. They may need to have that experience. So yes, to answer your question, people choose to come in at one of their chakras. Maybe I came in at my crown chakra. A lot of empath people, they come in at their heart chakra, right? So they kind of loan out their heart energy to the rest of the world, where earth people, root people, they loan out their root energy. So they'll get you a house, they'll pay for your dinner, they'll help you do earth stuff because you're involved doing something else. Your work in this lifetime for you is in a different chakra. This lifetime is all about empathy, so that's your heart chakra. If you are a rescuer, you're somebody who's supposed to be a rescuer, that's root energy. So you may appear capable and strong and wealthy and financial, and I can rescue you. That's what I'm here to do. So I'm root and earth based. But you're not going to get a whole bunch of deep centered thought from that earth-based person. That is not their focus. That is not their job while they are here. So before we say, get away from me, you're driving me crazy because you're unevolved, why don't we say, thanks for being a root person and saving my ass when I need help on earth? Right? Because a lot of times that's what they're doing for us. And if you find that their earth help isn't really earth help, then don't stress yourself out and stick around if you've already gone past that expression of your own self.
Sue
Right?
Brigg asked,
Sue Brigg, what's your question?
So that just prompted me to wonder, do some people choose to just have one lifetime soul experience and that's it? They never want to come back and try it again? In your experience, do we just do this one time and say, that's enough for me?
I haven't met a one-time soul yet,
Oh, okay.
except Jesus. That's the only one that I have, that when you say that, that's it. That's it. One true lifetime in humanity for a soul is only God's soul, and he was Jesus. So I have never seen that. That's a good question. I'm going to pray about and ask my grandma about, because I really have not seen that.
So how many soul jobs are there? I mean, I've heard you talk about the empath.
Oh my gosh, there's a lot of them.
The
There
rescuer,
are,
the facilitator.
yep, there's rescuer, there's facilitator, and there's more. I learn about more every few years, but rescuer, facilitator, empath, truth speaker, validator, peacemaker, people gatherer, and then you can have any combination of those. There's also like angelic communicators. There are God counselors. There are, oh my God, there's health guides, like there's health jobs that you can do. Yeah, there's a lot of soul jobs. And your soul will be unique in the way it does that job. I can have 5 empaths in a room, and they are all going to do their job uniquely different than the one next to them. Because your soul, when we determine what your soul job is, it's by way of something I like to call a soul dance. So I watch your soul literally dance around your body. And your soul touches on different points of energy in your body. So like, for example, today I had a session with a new client friend of mine, and we did her soul dance, and she's like, well, what's my soul job? So her soul began like a flower, kind of dancing around like this Hawaiian little dance in her solar plexus area. And then very beautifully took this energy all the way up above her crown chakra. And then it poured like water, like a waterfall out of her, landed at the root chakra. So I would say, just by watching her soul dance like that, that her main job is validation. And what does she validate? She validates people's ideas and people's dreams and their thoughts, and she puts all of herself into helping them achieve that. So her soul is like validation and encouragement, and not rescue, but like support. Like that would be her soul job. So when I explain it to her and I'm like, so that means that people in your life would act like this, she's like, oh my God, that's totally who I am. Like, that's my life. Right. And so everybody has this general nature of the way the soul flows through the body. And that seems to be decided before we get here. Because I've spoken to a lot of babies before they're born, and they already know what their soul job is. They already tell me what is their soul job. And then if I tell their parents, I'm like, okay, let's watch them though, and let's see. Like my one friend, when she was pregnant with her son, I connected with her son, and I'm like, okay, so tell me how you're going to be. And he was like, nobody's going to tell me nothing. I'm going to do everything I want. And I should have been here a few years ago. So I'm like way ahead of myself. And so I'm going to come out like running. Oh my God. Then she had him, and it's literally how he is. Like, you can't tell him nothing. He makes his own decisions. He's only 2. He's like flying off a roller coaster thing in his house. And it's like, he's grown. He's like a 7-year-old, but he's only like 2. But he said that he was going to be that way, that he should have come earlier. So he's more advanced in his soul growth than his body, because his body didn't get here, but his soul was already here. And that is how this little boy is. So it seems like we already choose this nature of our soul. And then maybe we say to God, okay, well, I want to be a rescuer. When I get to earth, that's going to be my soul job. And so God is going to give you something in your life that's going to teach you how to do that. And maybe you're going to get here and something's going to happen to you and you're going to be alone. and you're not going to have anybody. And some random person is going to walk up on the street and say, don't you have a winter coat? I have a winter coat. Take my winter coat. And you're going to be the one rescued. And so since you told God that you wanted to be a rescuer, how do you learn how to be a rescuer when you get here? You're going to be unrescued. How would you learn about it if you're rescued? You don't come in with the upper hand. You have to feel what they feel. We are one thing over here. So you'll be the unrescued. You'll know how that feels. And anytime you see anybody, your nature of self is going to make you rescue them. Right? So if you look at the gifts that you give to people, where did the gift come from? What prompts you to give that gift? So I remember this one time where Britt and I, because I was a single mom for a while and we didn't have any money. Like, we were broke. Like, broke. And somebody gave me money. That was a random person. That was not somebody who should have given me money. I think I spoke to them. I mean, they were acquaintance of mine, but they gave me money to help me pay my rent for me and Brittany. 2 times they did that for me. And I'll never forget it. And I didn't really have my family to depend on so much, so I didn't know what I was going to do. And this person just didn't ever ask for it back. Literally just handed it to me and said, don't even ask me for it back. It's like, it's fine. And I never forgot it. I can't even drive down the street and somebody says, do you have $5? Sure, take 20. You want 5? You want 20? You want this? You want that? Anything you want of mine, you can have. You want this shirt? You like it? I'll give it to you. Because this experience, I learned what that fear felt like, not even so much because of me, but because I have this 6-month-old daughter that I'm like 100% responsible for. I have no idea how I'm going to pay my rent right now. Right? So when we are tasked or we have agreed to do something for God, we tend to, in our humanity, think that it shouldn't happen to us, but it happens to us first. So that we know what it feels like, so that there's never a hesitation inside of us to give that part of ourself. And a lot of times that does come from our soul job and our soul gift. Some people can use their soul job or their soul gift as a power, which means then it's not a gift. So you may be a rescuer, and maybe you are a rescuer because you have a lot of money. And so you can give money to people because you can donate to St. Jude's, or you can help that guy on the side of the corner who doesn't have any food. Maybe that's what you're supposed to do. So maybe you're wealthy because you're a rescuer, but maybe you like the wealth too much. So you'll stay away from your rescuing stuff. Like, it'll be hard for you to rescue because you have found power in what you have to rescue. Does that make sense? So think of, I'll say, what is my gift? Okay, so I think that my gift is to introduce people to their spirit. That's what I think my gift is on earth. And so that's what I try to give. I have a choice of how to give you that gift. I can give you that gift and teach you how to do that. I can give you all that information and share it with you and do that freely and do that from a good place inside of me. That's me choosing to use my gift in a good way. Or I can break you in half. And I can tell you stuff about your own spirit that makes me have the ability to manipulate you and make you do whatever I want, because I can talk to your spirit. And you might think your spirit wants you to do this, but your spirit's telling me they want to do this. Now I can control you. What do you give away in the world? It's your power. And like Spider-Man says, that comes with a huge responsibility, right? So your soul job is your gift, and God might bestow a lot of information on you, or a lot of riches on you, or a lot of ability in you. It's how you choose to use it when you get here. And if you're using it as your power, it will eventually blow up in your face, and whatever your power you think you have, it'll be stripped from you overnight, and you won't even see it go. It'll just be gone. Because you can't hold a power if you're expressing spirit, because we're all one, so nobody's more powerful.
I have an example of that.
Sure.
So
Brittany, this is Brittany. She's not 6 months anymore. She's 32 now. Okay, go ahead.
32. So for like we all heard Mom's example of like she has this ability, right? Well, what if it's not like, what if you don't feel like it's like an ability, right? Or you don't have a lot of money, right? So those are two very different examples. What if it's just something that you're good at? So for me, I'm really good at explaining things to people. I'm really good at getting everybody on the same page. If there's a concept or if there's a plan, I'm really good at communicating and getting everybody in understanding. And I use that as a way to help people. So Mom knows anytime she's like, hey, what's this? I will go blue in the face until I make sure that she understands it and that everybody in the room understands it. But what if I decide to use that as like my power to build myself up? Well, then I'm withholding understanding from the rest of the group. And if I decide to give people different information or maybe not explain it in the best way in order to preserve my power, what's going to happen to me? I'm going to get tongue-tied. I'm going to get confused. I'm going to stumble on my words. And that's how I know that I'm not being a flow, right? Because if everything is from God and everything is love, and you are stopping the flow, you're cutting yourself off and you're cutting other people off. Sorry, I had an example I wanted to.
No, it's true. If you stop the flow of your own gift outward and towards yourself, you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. It will stop for you. So yes, you do. Your soul, you are a communicator. That is your soul job. And we knew that when you were very little, but you are a communicator. And so yes, you can use it as a way that is a gift for everybody and helps everybody. You can also use it to condescend people and talk down to people because you have a flair to your communication. So, right, when we notice that our gift is we have a gift. We're on Earth. Earth is going to try to manipulate that gift because Earth energy is Earth energy, right? I mean, what's the saying that the kingdom of God is within and everything outside of that is not the kingdom of God? That's more the devil's playground, right, on Earth. That's where he gets to, do his thing. So of course, if you have some beautiful gift, the energies of Earth are going to try to manipulate it and turn it against yourself and turn it against everybody else. And then you're just going to live a very empty lifetime. Your lifetime becomes empty. It just becomes routine when that happens. So does that answer anybody have any questions or comments about that? I don't know how we got on that conversation, but that's an awesome conversation. Yeah.
I have a question, Nikki.
Sure.
And in relation to that, like, say someone's own gift or their soul job, if you will, is inclusion. Like say you're talking to me or Mom or anybody, and we're just about inclusion. So how is that a gift to another? Because
I know you guys and I love you guys, but that is, I would say, one of the gifts, to include and to welcome. That is something that, like, you are very good at that. Your mom, you guys carry a very similar vibration in the idea of welcoming and of inclusion. And it becomes difficult because when something is your gift, you are the one giving it out, and you are the one that is the professional at it, which means the people that are involved in your life that are the ones that receive that gift, you might feel sometimes like you don't get that gift back. So the way that our soul job impacts us is, okay, I can help people sort out their dilemma in their brain, body, body, soul experience, but who helps me do that? Right? And you might be the one to always invite and include, but who's going to do that for you? Like, you're the professional at it, right? And that's one of the difficulties with our own soul job, is that by nature, we are able to give it to others. And then when others don't give it back, we get pissed off that they're not giving it back. And then that's when we use our soul job as our power, because we're like, all right, I've been including you all this time. You don't include me. You know what? I'm going to cut you off. I ain't going to fucking include you now at all. So now you've taken that gift that you are, and because you're not getting it back and you're empty on it, now it becomes your power. Great lead in, Matt, but that's how it can transcend into your power. So since everybody outside of us doesn't know how to do what we do for them, we better learn how to do it for ourselves, so we stay at 50%, and then our gift never becomes our power and remains always our gift. It only becomes our power when we're vacant of it, and we become vacant of it because we don't know how to give it to ourselves. Does that answer your question?
Yep.
Okay, so I'm coming at this explanation from a different perspective than you. You're talking about inclusion, but I'm going to talk about abandonment for a minute. So I have a huge abandonment issue. So when I used to travel for work, like if I had to go to like a conference in Florida, I do not like to do anything alone. And you don't actually have to do anything with me. You just got to sit there while I do it. Like, you don't have to clean with me. Just sit there while I'm doing it. Like, don't abandon me. That's my thing. So I have to go to these conferences in Florida all by myself. Nobody from my company is going there, right? So I'm going all alone. So my company abandoned me and I'm going all alone. Nobody else in the company is going. So when I initiate this trip to go on this conference, I start out in abandonment. So how am I going to get other people not to abandon me? Nobody from my office is going. Nobody else knows me. That's it. It's an abandonment situation. So when I go to the conference, I have to give myself the gift of not abandoning me. And that means that I don't want to feel alone. So I take my little lunch tray and I walk up to a table that looks like they're having a lot of fun. And I say, hi, you guys, my name is Nikki. My company sent me here all by myself and it freaks me out to be alone. Can I sit here and pretend that I know you guys like during lunch? Did it every single time and I had 3 times I had to travel, did it every single time, met people I still know, they all laugh, and I have not abandoned myself, and now people are around me, and now I'm going to have a fun time. So I just include everybody else so I don't feel alone. That's me giving my own gift back to myself. Right? And that's how we do it. That's how we try to build that up inside of ourselves, so that if we're not vacant of that gift, we always have a full bucket to give. But we're the only ones that can fill our bucket. If I abandon myself, you will abandon me. But if I don't abandon myself, you won't abandon me. I know it sounds contradictory, but in a few weeks, let's do state of being, and that'll explain the whole thing. I'm actually going over the workshop and stuff so I can make sure I can give it online and figure out how to share my screen and do all that fancy stuff. As soon as I figure that out, I'll put the class out and we can all sit down and kind of go over that, and that'll get a little bit deeper into this. Okay, does anybody else have any questions or comments? And hopefully that answered Matt. Okay. Did you want to say something, Trisha? No? Okay. Cheryl, did you want to say something? I thought I saw you start to say something.
I did. This is me. Is there another Cheryl?
Oh, there's 2 Cheryls. Okay,
No.
Cheryl in the pink, and then we'll go to.
No, she can go first.
Okay, go ahead, Cheryl in the pink.
I'll be quick. This is so spot on. And you know how spirit, just divine timing, you just don't have any clue how everything you said just makes so much sense. And especially when you're talking about the soul dance, I was remembering my soul dance session with you, and how fascinating that was, and how I still think about that when people come to me and ask questions. Yeah, I need to process all this. Yeah, definitely. We need to talk next time. This is just, so
Okay,
much.
Awesome. Thank you, Cheryl. Okay, Cheryl, other Cheryl, I'm glad you got off. Were you off already from
Yes,
work
I
or did you
was.
take off? You were already
No,
off?
I was off already, so it was perfect.
Okay, awesome. I'm
Um,
glad you were able to come.
yes, me too. I was so happy when I saw the date. I was like, yay. My mom's dog, or our dog, passed away on Tuesday morning.
Oh, I'm
And
sorry.
I just he was old and he had a good life, but my mom is cremating him, and I just wanted to know if he wanted to go anywhere in particular, and he knew that we all loved him, right?
What's his name?
Barkley.
I was gonna ask if his name was Bojangles, but it's okay. Um, can I ask if he was like a field dog? Did he like to be outside a lot?
Yes.
Like
Yes.
in the woods or in nature, like taking hikes, and like he wants to go on a walk, and I think he wants his ashes outside.
Okay. In the pond.
Is that where he would go walk with her?
Well, my mom wanted to bury him by this pond on her friend's property where they used to go fishing and stuff. And
No, yeah, that's it, because that's like
okay.
where I'm at. I'm in nature. I'm outside.
Okay.
I can be like in the woods. This is by nature, by like, yeah, definitely. That feels
Yeah.
like it's something he agrees to.
Okay.
He
Good.
also feels like when I'm like, I say hi to him and he's like, hey. Is that his personality?
I mean, we moved here to Iowa a year ago, so my mom's had him. He was, I think, like 14. He was, he had a great life. He was a little short, white Westie, and when you said that, that's so funny. Like, but he thought he was like a pit bull, but he was really short and kind of like a sausage in his later years. You know what I mean?
Okay.
So yeah, I feel like that would be him. He was just, he was really easygoing.
Yeah, he's very like, whatever I want to do. He's like, hey, like whatever you want to do is okay. So, yeah, I'm
Okay.
sorry about your loss.
Oh, he had a great life. So, I mean, it was sad, but yeah, we love you. We love him.
Okay. Anybody else have anything for today?
Cheryl wants to know where you got your painting.
Cheryl. Oh, I'll send you the link. Who? Cheryl in the pink?
I think so, yeah.
Can you see it? I can't see myself.
That
Oh, yeah.
painting, it's so amazing.
Isn't it beautiful?
Oh my gosh. Like,
I got it from this lady on Etsy, I think. I'll find it and and she does whatever you want. Like, so I asked her to make one for me and one for my daughter, and she made me two and they're beautiful. They're just, it's stunning,
just,
isn't it?
the energy is amazing of that. It's so, beautiful.
And that's kind of what drew me. Like the first time I saw it, I was like, wow. And I was sitting here with Marissa and I'm like, do you want one of these? Look at this. And she's like, oh yeah. So then I ordered them and they're beautiful. So they have a lot of feeling in them.
They do.
So I'll send you the link. I'll find it and I'll send you the link.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Anybody else have anything for today?
Great session. Thank you.
All right.
Yes,
thanks
amazing
everyone
session.
for coming. This was so much fun. I love when everybody joins, and I'm glad everybody that made it today could make it. So I love you guys.
Love you back.
Bye.